Cool.
Connecting.
Just want to make sure I can watch the stream as well.
And we're live.
All right. It's just getting set up, everybody. If you're watching me type, I know you're watching me type, so don't think you're gonna see my private keys in the background or anything like that. Alrighty, I do see that we are live. Looking good. All right, so we're live on YouTube. I think we're going to be live on Facebook any moment here.
Post a link on Facebook.
Cool. So I think we can wait and see if anybody spills in.
Come on, Corn.
Yeah, get some charts up. Yeah, that's already bounced back. I think it hit maybe 63.50. We're coming up. So okay, have we been shared everywhere necessary?
Yep, we're good.
All right, cool. Welcome everybody to the Crypto Traders live webinar. We try to do these monthly. Sometimes it shakes out to more like 6 weeks, but this is the August live webinar starring myself, Kurt Wuckert Jr., and the mysterious Matthew, who's not so mysterious since he's on video this time, but he's the founder of Crypto Traders Pro, and I'm the co-founder here, but we like to do these webinars roughly every month to just kind of go over the state of the markets and talk about what we're up to, what we think the markets are going to be doing. And we really like taking your questions live on the air. Gives us a little more something to talk about and let us know kind of where everybody's heads are at. I see the first person who jumped in is William Hofford. He likes to go by Bill, but that's because he's one of the cool kids. And we're going to be talking about what our presentation was at the Untraceable Blockchain Futurist Conference. We just got back. Actually, we got back 3 or 4 days ago, but I had the flu, so I want to apologize formally. I picked up some virus literally the hour I got home. I just got home. We started to unpack a little bit, started making a little bit of dinner, and I just started to feel really warm, and then I got the chills, and I got hit with a fever. I was sitting at 103 degrees. I had the chills and the sweats back and forth nonstop for about 2 days straight, and it was an awful way to jump back into home. So this was supposed to be 2 days ago. I apologize. It's my fault that it didn't happen 2 days ago, but we are here now, and I'm feeling not 100%, but I feel pretty good and ready to rock and roll. Matthew, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We've been pretty busy. We've done some traveling. We went to the Blockchain Futurist Conference. Just got back earlier this week. That was a great time. We'll do a video review on that. Give our thoughts on that. We really enjoyed the conference. There was a lot more people there than we anticipated. There was supposed to be about 1,500, and turns out there was over 2,300 people. And we spoke. We filled the stage. I was really surprised to see how many people in the community showed up. Everyone was coming up to us and talking to us because they're in the group, or they're from the group, or they know Kurt from his Coincast or Crypto Corner Live. So
Yep.
It was really great to talk to everybody. A lot of different perspectives on cryptocurrency, and tokenization was kind of the theme of the event, and also
Yeah, it was.
the mass adoption. I think we had a great presentation. We're going to kind of redo the presentation. We only had 15 minutes on stage. I know they're actually going to post the presentation sometime in the next couple days, but we're going to go through it and go a little bit more in depth because this is a topic that we can't ignore. And I think it's kind of getting brushed under the rug as everybody's focusing on ICOs and building this and that, and people are not so much focusing on the merchant side and merchant adoption, which is where I think we should be turning our heads to.
Amen to that. And before we jump all the way in, I want to thank the following people for joining us. If anybody's interested in the future, if you want to travel with us to these kind of things, you can get a shout out on YouTube for whatever that's worth. But I want to thank Brad, Elise, Austin. Elise brought her husband Jordan. Michaela tagged along. My wife Natalie. Who else do we have? Was that it? No, we had Nick
and Ryan
and Ryan.
Dave
yeah,
Byton.
Yep, Dave. So we had, and then a number of people kind of popped in on us at the conference and just came to say hi as well. But if you're interested, like the next time we do one of these things, let us know ahead of time. Maybe we can book a suite of rooms or have some kind of a crypto traders resort situation and make use of some of that so we can have some time.
The next event, the Untraceable event, Untraceables, who kind of put together this last conference, they're hosting the next event October 16th to 18th in Chicago, which we are going to try and go to. We're going to try and get a speaking slot there as well, and we'll probably do a similar type thing because we really like the event, and I like how they have different themes of these events as well. Going to a different city, especially in the States for once. It'll be our first kind of event in the States. This will be our third event of the year if we do decide to go. First one being in Gibraltar, then Toronto, and hopefully Chicago. I think that would be great to wrap up the year.
Absolutely.
So if anyone's in Chicago or around that area and would like to go, let us know if there's demand and like the community wants to actually go to the event. Then we'll definitely push to kind of represent the Crypto Traders crew again.
Yep, absolutely. So let us know. Contact us on Facebook or reach out to us in all the ways you can. So let's talk about this presentation. We kicked off on the Nakamoto stage. We were actually the lead or the lead off. I don't know what you call it, the opening act or something like that on the Nakamoto stage. And we talked about retail mass adoption. Obviously, we introduced ourselves, but if you're watching this, I imagine you know who we are. And we jumped right into just kind of talking about not so much the steps, but more so the barriers. As Matt and I were working on this presentation back and forth with each other, we realized that the presentation that we were making was less an optimistic list and more of a list of some of the speed bumps, actually. So we decided to change the title from the steps and realized it's more barriers. These are things that we actually have to conquer. These are quests rather than stepping stones. So
before we get into it, I'm going to take the webcams off because it cuts off most of these slides. So we'll pop back on the cam after. We'll go over some charts and discuss all that, but we're going to go through the presentation without the camera on.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So one of the things that stood out, we published this, as you can see, on August 2nd. We made a post in the Crypto Traders group and asked people if they walked into a store and they accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, or whatever else you want as payment, would you pay with it? And I think the thing that really freaked me out, honestly, I think in that situation, like I would be excited. I know Matt would be excited. And most people were negative. And I think that was really, first of all, really telling. I actually think if you look at the market sentiment, that's actually obvious. But it kind of bummed me out. I know it bummed Matt out too. And Matt covered this slide and had a number of things to kind of say about that sentiment in the marketplace. So Matt, I'll pass to you to kind of cover what you went over.
So yeah, the biggest thing, we actually talked about this post because this was a very interesting post, that the majority of people said they would not spend their cryptocurrency in a store or restaurant if they found out that they accepted it. And I, again, thought that was really weird that we're all trading cryptocurrency, everyone's investing in cryptocurrency, but it only goes that far for most people. It's only a speculative investment rather than actual money that should be used and circulated throughout the economy, because that brings the value to cryptocurrency. If no one's transacting with it and doing business with it, then why is it worth anything aside from, it's decentralized, it's peer-to-peer, whatever. If nobody's actually doing business with it, well, where does the value come from then? So that kind of bummed me out, as Kurt said, and I really think that hold mentality that people have clung on to so heavy after seeing events like the pizza guy who spent 10,000 Bitcoin on two Papa John's pizzas, and that was in 2011. So
it might have been 20 or 25,000 Bitcoin. So just...
But either way, that people have this hold mentality now.
Right,
Nobody wants to spend. Nobody wants to do anything but hoard their cryptocurrency and hope the value goes up so they could sell it to the next sucker. Well, that's not what it's supposed to be. So I think the biggest barrier, one of the first barriers, is We have to convince the public and people that cryptocurrency is money. It's more than a speculative investment. It's more than just something we trade and we try and make money off of or make profits off of. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we went over was, HODL. HODL, or the meaning of HODL, has actually evolved over the last couple of years. When it first came out, I think it was either from Reddit or Bitcoin Talk. I don't remember. I imagine it's Reddit, actually, because it was a drunk guy. A bunch of people were in the middle of a dip. I want to say it was the 2014 dip when $1,100 broke and it started to come crashing down. And a guy was drunk posting, responding to all the people that were panic selling. And he was emphatically letting everybody know they need to just hold. Like, don't panic sell. And because he was drunk, he mistyped it and he did it in all caps, and it became the battle cry of the crypto trader. But it has morphed, however, into simply not spending not using it for anything, like cold storage only, and waiting for some future date. And one of the things that I mentioned when we were talking about this on stage is that, if Bitcoin is only a collectible, if it's one of these things that just has value because it's scarce, then it's like a Beanie Baby. And I told the people, like, look, we're going to look back at this video. In 10 years, do you want to be a person in the crowd who was smart enough to use their investment and create something that has value by giving it momentum? Or do you want to be the kind of person that when you look back, it's like looking at somebody who was sitting at a Beanie Baby convention in the 1990s. And, people looked around. I could see the people's faces. They weren't quite sure what I meant. And here's the thing, Beanie Babies were bought. They were limited edition. So they were put out, like a Chicago Cubs limited edition Beanie Baby. Wow, this thing's
a fixed supply.
Right. We're only going to make, 500 of them or 1,000 of them or something. And you're going to buy one for $15 or whatever the basic retail price of a Beanie Baby is. And if you hold on to it in 10 years or 20 years, maybe, it'll pay to put your kids through college. And that's crazy. And the problem is that, a Beanie Baby doesn't have extra utility. Like, there's no value that is hidden in a Beanie Baby. It's just scarce. So when people argue that Bitcoin has value because, well, it's decentralized and it's scarce, like, well, that's not really a utility. Like, that's a feature that is a feature that undergirds the utility. But the utility is, as I've said a million times, if you followed any of our media stuff, but the utility is the unstoppable means of exchange, or the unstoppable transfer of value. But if nobody's transferring value, then there's no incentive to mine, and then miners don't invest, and then hash power goes down, and then value follows with it, because who's going to keep buying it? You don't want to just be selling to suckers. Matt, I think, like you said that like 3 minutes ago, selling to suckers is really, that's what every trader is, right? A trader, somebody that only trades, is hoping to God that the other person in the transaction is a sucker. You're hoping you're not the sucker. You're hoping that when you buy, you're the smart guy, and when you sell, you're the smart guy. But that's not the utility. The utility of crypto, sure, you can trade it like any other financial asset, but that's not its utility. The utility is to use it as money, to use it as a means of exchange. And in order for it to be money, we have to treat it like money. So we kind of need to win that philosophical battle first. And frankly, we've been losing it. For the last several years, cryptocurrency is like, maybe 95, maybe 99% trading. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's very, very high.
I'd be curious to poll the group. Mm-hmm. If we poll the group and ask how many people have actually bought something using cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then break it down to, have you bought something online or offline? Because the first time, I started investing in 2016, the first time I've ever tried to use cryptocurrency in the real world was while we were in Toronto, and it was a complete pain in the ass. First of all, we had to hunt down some place that accepted it. In a city with 3 million people, there was maybe 1 or 2 restaurants that actually accepted Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. And by the time we got there and had our meal, I couldn't even pay with it because the wallet didn't work.
Right. Yeah, it was a fiasco. It was really disappointing, actually. And actually, I think you should clarify too. A bunch of people were super upset to hear that was your first in real life purchase. Maybe you should clarify that you do indeed buy things on the internet and such.
Right, and that's another thing. That's a whole nother topic. Is yes, we're seeing more adoption of internet businesses, of online commerce, but we're not seeing that same level of adoption spread through brick and mortar stores. And yes, I do use Kryptonize It, which is a Bitcoin Cash. You could buy anything you want using Bitcoin Cash. I bought other stuff online, like a VPN service and stuff using cryptocurrency. But as far as in real life purchases, I live in Detroit, and I've never seen somewhere downtown in the city that accepts any cryptocurrency as payment. And if they did, I'd be thrilled because I'd love to pay with it. But we're not seeing that adoption.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a couple places in Chicago, it's another major metropolitan area. And there's a couple, but there's not a lot. There's a lot of ATMs.
And what's the point of that? If there's a million ATMs, but there's nowhere to actually spend it.
Right. Yep.
All right, let's go to the next slide.
For sure.
How do we spend? Okay, so this branches off into whole nother section is, so we talk about there's limited amounts of merchants that are accepting cryptocurrency. Well, how do we get these merchants to start accepting cryptocurrency? We need merchant solutions and adoption, and they go hand in hand. The first part of this is, I believe we need or already have point of sale terminals or payment terminals. They're already in every grocery store or any business. They have a credit card machine. Well, some of them have touch screens, or some of them a little more advanced. We need a payment terminal that links to cryptocurrency. We need people that are offering to set this up in businesses and going around advertising this, educating businesses, educating employees how to actually accept a cryptocurrency as payment, which was another issue we saw in Toronto. The guy that was trying to, at the restaurant we were at in Toronto, the waiter that was trying to do our payments in Bitcoin, he wasn't invested in Bitcoin. He's never used Bitcoin, and the wallet didn't work. And he didn't know enough to download. He had no idea what to do. Or, and we can't help them because it's his business. He doesn't know if we're trying to rip him off because he's not educated. But if we have someone needs to build something and start going around to businesses, build a team, and start setting this up. I would recommend going to large chain grocery stores like Kroger, like Publix, because these are around several states, and if you can get one of them on board, it's going to spread like wildfire.
Yep, absolutely. In fact, one of the things while we were in town, we spent some time around the pool and had some conversations about this. And one of the guys, Brad from the Boston area, started talking about how he's made an effort to start doing this. And in fact, he may start a business doing just setting up simple retailers. So you can go into a local coffee shop, offer them a solution, let them know like, hey, there are point of sale systems, that you could use Pop by Hand Cash, or you could use BitPay, or depending on your setup, you could use something like Globy or GoURL. Like there's options out there. Or if you wanted to treat your cryptocurrency just like cash, you could just set up a basic mobile wallet. You could get the Bitcoin.com wallet or Coinomi or one of the basic mobile wallets and treat it as a cash payment in your workflow. So Brad and I were kind of talking about how that's an opportunity specifically for him because it's something that he wants to do. So I said, like, well, you don't need anybody's permission, Brad, because it's permissionless. It's cryptocurrency. You don't need permission from, Bitcoin.com or from, Dash or Digibyte. Like, just go do it. Just go set people up and charge them. Just say, hey, for $100, I will get you all set up to accept cryptocurrency in your coffee shop or your boutique or whatever. And then it's a way for you to earn a little bit of money. And when they say, well, shoot, who's going to buy crypto? Who's going to shop here with cryptocurrency? You can be the first one. If they pay you $100, spend, $10 and get a coffee and a sandwich, and show them how easy it is. And, the other thing to consider too, that we've had a lot of pushback, and I've had a lot of people push back on me, is like, well, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to pay my bills and all this different stuff? And it's like, look, if you start accepting Bitcoin, you're not going to get, your entire business isn't going to convert to a Bitcoin cash flow. Okay. So you're going
Not
to,
right away, at least.
right. Day 3, you're not going to, have $5,000 worth of Bitcoin spent in your store. So, I would predict something, $50, $100 a month, probably on a good month, depending on your business model, of course. But if you're a coffee shop, you're probably going to get just a couple of people coming in at first. But then as people come to accept it, and as the crypto community comes to realize, like, hey, you're one of the people supporting them, they have a tendency to come support you. And then, you can start to work up to maybe hundreds of dollars a month, but it's not going to be like an overwhelming thing that you're going to have to account for. And by the time you have a lot of cash flow in cryptocurrency, I think you'll have figured out your operating procedures for that, because you can do it 2 ways. You can treat it like a credit card transaction through a point of sale system, or you can treat it like cash and just put it in a private wallet. So whichever way you're more comfortable accounting for crypto, you have both options. They're there. And in fact, if you want to reach out to us, we can hook you up with local people who may be able to help you do that. So maybe this will become like a side business, a little bit of a consultancy for how to set up crypto in your retail situation, because I think it's simpler than people think it is. And there's like a fear barrier that's really real, kind of making that happen.
Well, we need either entrepreneurs or existing businesses that already have the infrastructure. And I was speaking directly to Ledger, who was at the conference, and I said, this is something you guys should be doing. They have millions of dollars in the bank at their disposal, and they have winky-dink hardware wallets, and they should be building solutions for
Right.
it. And this could be a multi-million, billion, trillion-dollar business. Somebody
Sure.
that goes into these stores, these chains, offers to set up their payments. I think we also need tax solutions, something like QuickBooks, where it automatically calculates your taxes and stuff that you get on cryptocurrency. Again, we need more government clarity.
Yep.
IRS clarity, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, in the U.S., and that was the other thing that stood out from our polling, is people are really unclear on the regulatory implications and the tax implications of spending their cryptocurrency. So that's another thing. And that comes to this bullet point we're looking at. It says retail price fixing. I know the libertarian in me sees price fixing and gets a little bit terrified, but it's a little bit different than you might be thinking. And I haven't heard anybody else talk about this, but Matt and I were on a call with one of our pro members, Vance from Australia, who is an experienced derivatives and options trader. And we were talking about
Bakkt
or backed or whatever this Starbucks Microsoft amalgam thing might be. And we all laughed about how bad the branding is. In fact, unanimously, we all kind of vomited in our mouths a little bit with BAKKT, backed or Bakkt. Maybe it is Bakkt. That sounds more ominous. But here's why this is interesting. If a group like Starbucks, there aren't a lot of retailers doing small transactions at the volume of Starbucks. They may be the largest, actually. They might be the largest retailer of $10 or less transactions. It's got to be them or McDonald's or somebody like that. But if they were to do a retail price fix and do it monthly or quarterly and just say, look, Bitcoin is $6,300-ish right now, or $6,400. We're going to treat Bitcoin like it's $7,000 for the entire month of August. Well, then that takes the price volatility out of it. So if Bitcoin is actually at $6,500, it actually gives you more value in your Bitcoin to go spend it at Starbucks. And then on the flip side, it also kind of creates a magnet for where the price should be. Because if there's millions of Bitcoin transactions occurring at the $7,000 rate, and the price is lower than $7,000, it actually pushes traders to say like, hey, we're undervalued right now. Like if somebody's willing to accept it for $7,000, it could push the price up. It could give us what a lot of people say is the main barrier, which is that price volatility. So that could help give price stability, both in the retail environment and to the person making the purchase. But here's the other cool thing. If they use a derivatives market to fix the price of Bitcoin so that it can be used as a unit of account in a retail environment, then it also makes it that you are not doing a taxable transaction by U.S. law, because you're not making a trade at a market rate. You're making a trade based on, or you're giving it to somebody to make the trade for you, because it's not the spot price, it's some futures price. It's an arbitrary price. So I think that's a really interesting thing. I think that's what Starbucks and Microsoft are working on right now. That's what Wuckert will be, but I could be wrong. It just strikes me as a really logical, really awesome thing for to be happening. If that's what's happening, then I'm really excited.
It's an option.
Yeah.
And I would only expect large corporations like Starbucks to do that. The small business accepting cryptocurrency isn't going to have a derivatives trader on their staff to do this. But I also think as the market matures, as we keep growing, if we keep growing, and Bitcoin turns out to be 100,000, 500,000, a million, that volatility is going to be much less.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then consider too, if they're doing it the way they're doing it, like they're setting up a separate entity, which means they could also offer that as a service for other retailers. So if it's Starbucks managing Wuckert, they could offer that service to McDonald's, Burger King, your local Quickie Mart or whatever else, and say, oh yeah, we process crypto through Wuckert, and here's the terminal. So it could spread rapidly. It would be really, really nice if it would spread rapidly because of price stability and the fact that it takes away the tax implications.
We need more clarity on what Wuckert is doing.
Yep,
I think it's pretty vague on what they announced, because everybody thought Starbucks accepting crypto, and then Starbucks came out and said, no, we're not.
Right.
So, and one of the other, I guess we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so we talked about some of this, but one of the other things, I guess this goes under tax laws, is a lot of people were concerned about the capital gains. So if they're buying coffee, are they charged a capital gains tax to buy that coffee because they're cashing out of cryptocurrency? And we think no, because it would be the merchant that is charged the tax, right? Isn't that what we discussed with Vance?
It's unclear, because if you were to just sell your crypto, if you're treating it like a trader and you're in profit, yes, you would owe capital gains tax. Especially if you do it inside of a year. I believe after 12 months it becomes long-term capital gains, which is a lower rate. But I think if you spend it, you're treating it as a different mechanism. So you're not trading it. You're not cashing it in. You're swapping it for something. So you're swapping it for coffee in the case of Starbucks. In which case, my understanding is that you do not pay a capital gains tax. But the law is intentionally vague, and it's intentionally vague because they want people reporting their cryptocurrency. So the government wants to have as much control as possible. And they want us to be in fear, so they want us to write it on our taxes. I'm so sorry, I bought, 45 coffees with Bitcoin in 2018. Please don't kill me, IRS. And it's, I don't know, it's bogus, and it's one of those things that really kind of irks me about the regulatory environment in the U.S. as it involves monetary sovereignty.
Well, they don't have clear rules laid out for us, so we don't really know what we're supposed to do. I tried to do my taxes on TurboTax, and it was just so difficult. There needs to be a section that's specifically for cryptocurrency. And again, I guess we're just so early that this will evolve over time, hopefully, because I also think the tax issues are scaring businesses away from accepting cryptocurrency as payment. And also their overhead. We know restaurants have a lot of overhead. They have to buy all the food. Well, if they're accepting cryptocurrency and that becomes the dominant or more of their business than they'd like, then, well, if whoever their supplier is not accepting cryptocurrency, it kind of hurts them.
Right. It becomes a dead asset to them.
So, solutions for volatility, again, we touched on that. As the market matures, I believe that it'll become less volatile. We're still early. This is about 10-year-old market. Give it another 10 years and let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
User experience. This was a big thing with the restaurant we visited. And we did this presentation before we actually went to the restaurant. But now I see how important it is, because when you're going to the cash register to check out, you plug your chip in, you plug your credit card into the processing machine, and it pretty much does the work for you. Well, with cryptocurrency, sometimes it's not as easy. Some of the apps are, but the app I was using, Coinomy, which Kurt actually recommended me to download. I asked him because I've never used a mobile wallet. I don't like mobile wallets, and I think there needs to be a better solution out there. But that's all we have to work with right now. So I downloaded Coinomy. I loaded up with Bitcoin. I was all excited. I'm going to go pay with cryptocurrency for the first time. I'm going to record it, and this is going to be great. And then it just didn't work because Coinomy didn't sync with the BitPay wallet, which is what the merchant was using. So the user experience is unfriendly. And using a lot of these mobile wallets, I question how secure they are, since they are on your mobile phone, which people say don't link stuff to your phone number, or anything on your phone is not safe. There's always that risk, and mobile wallets are also centralized. You're trusting an app. So I don't think the user experience is very friendly right now. I think there's certain apps like the Handcash. Is it Handcash?
Handcash. There's a number of good wallets. The Digibyte mobile wallet is really cool to use if anybody accepted Digibyte in the universe. The Dash mobile wallet is like really, really painfully simple and clean and nice looking. It's really, really easy to use. And even the basic Bitcoin.com wallet that you can use for BTC or BCH, like, they're good. The problem was the BitPay wallet. BitPay, I did a little bit of research as to why the heck it didn't work, and it turns out BitPay has their own proprietary QR code format. And it's like, why the hell would you have a proprietary format? So every single wallet provider has to proactively have the option for somebody to pay specifically a BitPay Bitcoin wallet. And I mean, there was no way to know that. Like, there was no, like, the BitPay wallet didn't say that. It just was like, here's the QR code. It doesn't read. I don't know why it's not working. And I think if that was clear, like, if BitPay could even say, like, make sure your wallet is compliant with BitPay, or like, just simply, like, don't use a proprietary QR code system. That is completely unnecessary.
They want money, man.
Well, right, but it's like, it's just frustrating.
And it wouldn't allow the merchant to give a receiving wallet address. All they could use was the QR code. So if the QR code didn't work, then you're SOL.
Yep. So Bill Hoffer just commented here on YouTube and said, some point-of-sale solutions can convert to fiat immediately. That would be a volatility solution. He's right. That's actually the perk of BitPay. So BitPay, you can choose how much you want to convert. So you can convert 99% of the transaction to fiat, or 99% of the transaction to, or like 99% leave it in crypto, or anywhere in between. A lot of people kind of do 50-50, or they will set their company's average profit margin. So if you have 40% profit margin built into your stuff, 60% becomes fiat so that you can pay your bills, but the 40% profit stays in Bitcoin as something that you can hang on to. So, they're trying, and actually BitPay is not a bad company. In fact, I've never had an issue with them before then. And it turns out that my recommendation to Matt, the Coinomy wallet, was Like it was the Coinomy developers that have not upgraded their wallet to be BitPay compliant, and I had no idea because I had no reason to have known that. But
It made it impossible to pay because at that point I was like, okay, well, how do I still pay with cryptocurrency? How do I make this work? Well, the way to do it was to then send my funds in my Coinomy wallet to another wallet. So I tried to send it to Brad, who was with us at the event, but then I found out you need 6 confirmations from Bitcoin, which takes an hour and a half.
Right.
And we were trying to pay for our dinner and leave. So that shows, okay, cryptocurrency is not that fast when you have to wait for 6 confirmations, and it made it impossible.
Yeah, and that's the ongoing problem, between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core is, well, you don't want to be you don't want to accidentally spend your Bitcoin and that kind of thing. Like we need to make it difficult so that it's so it has value. But either way, this is going to be my Bitcoin Cash plug. Is that Brad and I both paid with Bitcoin Cash using Bitcoin.com wallets, and it worked instantaneously with BitPay. So that was indeed a painless experience there. But I think it had more to do with the Bitcoin wallet and the BitPay wallet talking nicely to each other than the Bitcoin Cash itself. But
it didn't matter what cryptocurrency I had, none of them would have worked because the 2 wallets didn't connect. And I think, again, that goes to my point, mobile wallets I don't think are the solution. And this is something I talked to Ledger about. I'm like, we need some sort of simpler, more secure solution that is easier than bringing up your phone or storing all that information on your phone. And I suggested some sort of wristband that you just swipe and it pays. You press a button similar to how you do it on the Ledger, and it's a painless experience. And I really think something like that could be the future. I don't know if it'll be a wristband or what it'll be, but I'm sure at some point we're going to get away from having everything on your mobile phone. Maybe.
Well, and that's actually what Handcash is working on. They're working on NFC. So near field communication is kind of what makes like Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or Android Pay, whatever you use, like your tap to pay solution, which people are very familiar with in Europe because their credit cards are all tap to pay. But in the US, it's actually new and slowly adopted. But the technology exists for tap to pay, which is a little more secure because you encrypt basically the tap is encrypted, believe it or not. But Handcash, which is a Bitcoin Cash specific wallet, is the first to come out with an NFC solution that can utilize, or they say it will be able to utilize the same network as Apple Pay, Android Pay, whatever. So they just have to install the point of purchase Handcash app, and then other people can pay with Bitcoin Cash using NFC. So
yeah, I think that's the future.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be way easier. It would be really nice to, say, hey, you owe $8, and you just tap your phone on the terminal and walk away. So sounds good to me.
Something else I want to touch on is I get a lot of people saying, why not just use the Shift card or whatever credit card? Just load your cryptocurrency on there. And I think if we're loading cryptocurrency on a credit card, that is not appetizing enough for people to switch away from fiat. A lot of people probably don't really care if it's decentralized or not. They want an easier user experience, a faster user experience.
And cheaper.
Well, right. And I think, merchants want cheaper because on every credit card, they pay, 2.5%?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the size of the company, but you usually pay a monthly fee and you pay a per transaction fee.
Yeah. And that's if you have an online business, because I've accepted credit cards online before. It's a 2.5 to 5% fee on every. Yeah. And it's a ripoff. Sometimes
it's a lot.
If
it's huge.
you're getting a $10,000 payment, if somebody's buying a bunch of supplies at Home Depot, well, they're taking 2.5 to 5% right off the top. But I don't think credit cards are the answer. I don't think that's going to steer people away from using dollars or whatever your fiat currency is. I think we need an easier solution. And I think credit cards are actually pretty slow. was actually at Home Depot the other day, and I had to leave my chip in there for over 30 seconds before it actually
Right.
read. And I know I could have just scanned the code and pressed the button, and it would have been done in less than 3 seconds had I been using cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But I also believe, which is one of the pros of a credit card company, is, someone just typed this in chat, chargebacks. So if you get scammed and you pay with cryptocurrency, well, you're essentially SOL.
Right.
And that's one of the issues. People like that insurance policy, which you're probably only going to get from a centralized company. Unless there's a solution somehow. I don't know how that would happen.
It's interesting. Chris is commenting about Smart Cash and Smart Band. I've heard, I can't remember who told me, but somebody said that Smart Cash is accepted all over Brazil. Chris, if you could confirm for us. And I've only ever heard of Smart Cash like in the last couple of months, but seemingly somebody was industrious enough to get Smart Cash accepted at all kinds of places in Brazil with point of sale solutions and all kinds of stuff. And they're like exactly that, tap to pay and rock and roll. So it's interesting. I want to look more into what they're doing and what the heck Smart Cash even actually is, if they're their own blockchain or if they're some kind of a side chain of someone else. But like this mentioned, 85% of merchant locations in Brazil accept via the Smart Band.
Boom.
So,
Told you it's happening.
Right.
Someone's going to do it.
Damn right. And then the thing is, too, is, we've been saying for a long time, too, I think the United States will be the very last country to actually accept cryptocurrency, like, in mass. I just think we're going to be the last ones.
We're so far behind. I was mentioning something about checks, and when you're paying rent, a lot of landlords won't accept anything but a check. And in Europe, they said they haven't used checks since the 80s or 90s.
Right. They didn't even when I was in Italy this year, I went to Italy and I was like they were trying to tap my credit card, and I was like, no, you got to insert it. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I was like, you guys literally have not had an American in this restaurant need to pay with a chip card? And they were just like, no, you tap. I'm like, no, I understand what you're saying, but my card doesn't work that way. It was super and they were just like, and they all chuckled. They're all like, man, America doesn't even use tap to pay. I was just like, I know I'm a money advocate guy, but yeah, it's
we're very far behind in that. It's crazy because U.S. is one of the leaders of the world, yet we're so far behind Europe and China,
for sure,
and everywhere in Asia. I know we're light years behind.
Yeah, and it's laziness. It's laziness because the dollar is the reserve standard, and the banking system knows that we don't really have a better option as Americans. Well, what are we going to do if you're in Thailand or something? It's like, well, maybe I'll use a Vietnamese bank, or maybe I'll use U.S. dollars, or maybe I'll use the Thai. I think they call it the baht. But there's competition there, and that competition makes the services better. And they want the services to be more secure, and they want to be progressive. And for some reason, the U.S., like you said, a lot of people just use checks, plain and simple, still, because it's what they're comfortable with. And I don't know where that comes from.
We're forced to use what is accepted. So if we see, and this is why I think if merchants and businesses start accepting cryptocurrency, it will become more widespread.
Yeah. No, I agree.
If you can't pay your rent in cash unless your landlord accepts it, and most only accept a check. And very few are actually, when I was looking at apartments and I said, well, how do I pay rent? Can I pay with Bitcoin? I always ask. And they said, oh, we're just now moving to online payments. I'm like, it is 2018 and they're just moving to online. Before, it's always been checks.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which are
it's absolute madness.
So, and the last thing I wanted to touch on was scalability. The scaling debates are endless. So, if Starbucks, let's say they are accepting Bitcoin, well, what happens when the network gets clogged? That's going to be a huge red flag for other businesses, because if Bitcoin can't even handle Starbucks, how is it going to handle Starbucks, McDonald's, and 1,000 other restaurants?
And Best Buy on Black Friday.
Well, right. So that's another big concern. I don't know if Bitcoin can handle that right now. It's proven that it can't. And
Bitcoin absolutely cannot. Like, no way.
So I think we really only get one shot there, because if they see, okay, this is not ready for adoption, we are going to remove Bitcoin, maybe we'll revisit it in a couple years. I think that could really damage the space if one big business or corporation takes the risk of accepting cryptocurrency as payment, and then it turns out to be a fail because it costs too much to send and receive, and it takes way too long.
Yep.
So that's it for this presentation on the barriers to mass adoption. There's a lot of them. We're still very early, and I really hope, my goal was hopefully somebody there, and I know there's a ton of entrepreneurs at that conference, and there was a lot of money floating around there.
Oh, yeah.
I hope we were able to reach somebody, and I think we were. There was a lot of people that came up to us after this kind of presentation and said, oh, I agree with everything you guys say. There was also people coming up, we're working on something like this, or I'm right with you. I'm like, well, if somebody starts doing these payment terminals or working on approaching businesses to set cryptocurrency up, we'll fully support that and help in any way we can. But there's only so much Kurt and I could do. We need other people thinking the same. Right now, we're kind of in the education space of people that already know what they're doing in cryptocurrency. We need people that are onboarding and educating the average Joe. It's a lot of work for two guys. We need everybody. The whole community needs to start working towards this.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And this was kind of our last thing. Always offer to pay with crypto. I know Kurt, wherever he goes, he's always asking, do you accept cryptocurrency? He's trying to tip people in cryptocurrency and just spread it around. And I ask, it's funny, I went to Chase the other day. I bank with Chase, and I hate Chase. And I made a comment. I asked the teller's opinion on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And I brought up Jamie Dimon. And I said, well, Jamie Dimon is not a fan of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. He had some pretty vulgar words to say. And they got really upset with me, defended Jamie Dimon, said, I was in a room with Jamie Dimon. I listened to him speak before, and I don't believe he would ever say anything bad. It's just complete delusion.
It's like religious.
Well, it is. But I strongly dislike the banks. Just, if you've ever had to do anything, sending any amount of money to across the world, it's just a freaking pain. And every time I'm just going out and doing something, I'm just like, if only there was a more efficient way to do this. And I'm always thinking about cryptocurrency and just making sarcastic remarks. So I know smart contracts and all that can make a lot of things more efficient. It's more than just a currency. That's one of the very many solutions that cryptocurrency, blockchain, whatever, will solve. But I think this is a good start. So that's it for this slideshow. You want to jump into the charts and talk about the markets for a bit?
Absolutely. I think we should go over some of what the ETF news did to the markets. I actually think it's a good sign. And start to take a little bit of some Q&A as well. So if people want to start queuing up your questions, I will be
back on the screen.
Hi. So we can start answering your questions if you want to start to queue them up. So whatever's on your mind, everybody, go ahead and ask us. We will be.
Well, first of all, let's talk about Bitcoin, because today we had that ETF denied, and the markets went crazy. So last night, I believe, we had, when BitMEX went down, we had that huge green candle from 6,400 all the way up to 6,800. And that happened in a matter of minutes, right?
Yeah, it was super quick.
Big pump. shorts got squeezed. People were panicking that we're short, and then we pretty much bled today and dropped. And I think that was partially due. It was probably entirely due by that ETF getting denied, which a lot of people were already kind of guessing that would happen. It was pretty obvious because it was kind of BS. And I think this is just something we got to get used to. Until one of these ETFs actually gets approved, more people are just going to keep submitting applications, and we're going to go through the same process with all of them. I know there's about 5 more ETF applications that we're going to get an approve, deny, postpone announcement on over the next month and a half. So until we get one that's actually accepted, I think we're going to keep going through this cycle of, price action. But I don't think we're in that bad of a spot compared to what we were at the last time the Winklevoss ETF happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when did that happen? Winklevoss?
Well, there's been a few of them. There was one a few years ago. There was one this year, but I don't remember.
2017, but the most recent one.
I think it was
July 26th.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was about a month ago.
Where was this on the charts? July 26th was right. Okay, let's compare what the market's. So right here on this white line, blue line. Okay, so it got denied. We saw that big red day, but this is what we need to take into consideration. Back when this one got denied, we had that huge run-up prior. So the price ran from the low 6,000 range all the way up to the mid 8,000 range. It was hyping up to that ETF decision. It got denied, and the price tumbled. But that was already after a huge run. I mean, the price already had gone up 40% in the matter of 2 weeks. Well, now this ETF wasn't as prominent, and the Bitcoin price has been going sideways for the past about 3 weeks, 15 days, so a little over 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't see that same type of price action that we saw before. We saw the huge hype, and then it just died off. Whereas now we're still going sideways, and Bitcoin actually closed. It didn't have that huge dump off. At least not yet. I mean, it could still happen over the next few days, but I don't really think it will. We're still holding the 6,400 range, which is really solid. We didn't totally crash, and there's been a ton of volume. So there's a lot of money exchanging hands, a lot more volume in the markets right now than there has been over the past couple months. This is something we've been talking about with the Pro Group. Pretty much from May until the middle of July, the volume was very little. And since beginning of July, mid-July, the volume has nearly doubled than it was in May, June, July. And that's a really good sign. That means more people are paying attention. Maybe this could be the bottom, maybe not. It's still pretty early to tell. But that uptick in volume is definitely a pro, and I'm really hoping one of these ETFs gets approved over the next month and a half.
Yep, absolutely.
And the weekly chart really doesn't look bad at all. Actually, we called a Bitcoin signal in the Pro Group a couple days ago. I said buy up to 6,300, so all of our entries were below 6,300. We had that run all the way up to almost 7,000. So I know a lot of people did take profits because they knew this ETF was probably going to get denied. That's something we've been talking about as well. I decided to keep my orders in because, the actual ETF, the VanEck Solid X, I believe it's called, that one has the best chance of getting approved from our research. I think that has a good shot. So if that gets approved, we're going to get a final decision at the end of September. So we still get a little over a month left. We'll see what happens then. But Bitcoin's still going sideways right now. And I do know that shorts are trapped. So if we go to BTC USD shorts, oh man, they're actually almost to all-time highs. So
yeah, they're climbing back up again.
Right. It dipped. It almost had a full retrace of the previous day, and it got bought up, or I guess sold up.
Yeah.
Sold up. So people kept shorting, even though the price dropped. So more people are shorting. Shorts are almost to all-time highs. I'm looking to take the contrarian approach and say, okay, if more people keep shorting and Bitcoin keeps holding the level it's at, If it moves up again like it did the other day,
Yeah, we'll get a real short squeeze.
right. Anybody shorting over the past 2 weeks will be in the red underwater. Eventually, they'll either get liquidated or forced to close their position in order to prevent catastrophe of their account. Yep. And that's where we'll see a big run, similar like we did in April. I know April was the same thing. Shorts were at the all-time high, April 12th. We had that huge pop from 6,000 up to 8,000 in one day, and we went all the way up to 10,000.
Yep. Now I'm accumulating long myself. I closed my position yesterday at about 68 or 68.50 ish. I closed it in a couple of rounds, but it was I was on BitMEX with just a few $100s, but I entered the trade on 25 times leverage. So I wanted to be pretty conservative with profit taking, and did really well right away, and now I'm back accumulating long. I've come to find that if you pump your leverage once the position is open, it only applies to the future trade, as far as I can tell, unless there's some kind of a time limit or something. Because on BitMEX you have the option to just play with your leverage. You can go for anywhere from 2x to 100x on BitMEX, but I've found that it doesn't actually. It shows that my percentage is different, but my profit and loss doesn't change. So I don't know if it has to sit there a while, or if it has to, or if it'll ever change at all, unless you enter the position. However, when I enter a position with a new contract, it's instantly I can see that. My position is much larger on BitMEX when I enter the trade. But yeah, so it was my first 25x leverage trade on BitMEX, which was something of a nail biter.
Yeah, I like that you could scale it. So if you guys haven't used BitMEX before, there's like a little leverage bar, sliding bar, and you can move it up and down. And my goal is to go open a leverage position at the bottom. So, and I wouldn't recommend anyone putting a large amount of their money or size of their portfolio on BitMEX. It's very risky. The site goes down occasionally. It's just total chaos over there. It's like a casino.
It is.
My goal is eventually Bitcoin's going to bottom out unless it goes to zero. But eventually it's going to bottom out. There's going to be a bottom, and I want to be the person to long the bottom and just leave that position open, crank that leverage all the way up to 100, and ride it back up to 20,000. I think that could essentially make you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's the dream right there.
Right, and you remain patient. But when that bottom, we might be in the bottom right now, and I do have a position open, and I'll crank that to 100x as soon as it's up enough where I'm comfortable. But that's my goal, and I think everybody should look to do that. If you're playing on BitMEX, and that money should be throwaway money. You're not worried if you lose it.
Right.
And just play around. BitMEX is a cool place to learn because you're trading futures contracts. You're not actually trading Bitcoin. You own no Bitcoin if you're trading on there. So it's different.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Have you found that if you scroll your slider up, like, I was in profit, I think it was in like 7 or 8% profit, and I brought the slider up and it showed me like, ooh, you're in, 800% profit or whatever.
All right.
But it didn't actually adjust my actual profit and loss number. So it showed my actual profit Bitcoin did not change, just the percentage number.
Yeah.
So
try taking profits and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess
Test
that'll
it
be
out. Play around with it.
Yeah.
We don't really, we're kind of just recently getting into BitMEX, maybe the last couple months. I like Bitfinex a lot better because there's more trading pairs and there's only 3x leverage, 3.3x leverage. I don't think 100x is necessarily necessary. I think 3.3x is fine, especially if you have, $10, $25, $50, $100,000 in your account. That's more than enough to play with without risking catastrophe from BitMEX. But there are people that make a ton of money on BitMEX, and it's mass chaos over there.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, if you're good at picking your spots, you can go, 100x, or I wouldn't recommend 100x on your first trade, obviously, but you can jump in. Even like I said, 25x on a trade is, I mean, that's a lot. If you got $1,000, you're playing with $25,000. So you can jump in hard with that kind of leverage. But if you can pick the bottom, you pick the bottom, and boom, like Matt was saying, you can ride. Bitcoin does some really gangster stuff every once in a while. So if you're sitting in a trade on high leverage and you catch a rocket, it is a big payday over at BitMEX.
So something I wanted to talk about here about Bitcoin is the difference between the log chart. Well, the log chart is different than the regular chart. Well, what's the name of the regular chart?
Linear, I believe.
Linear. Okay, so this is the linear chart right now, and it looks like, if you're looking at this chart and using these trend lines, that it looked like Bitcoin kind of broke out of the downtrend and then it came right back. But if you switch to log scale, it kind of adjusts it, and it looks like it's following this chart pattern more clearly on the log scale chart. So I've been using log scale more, and Vance in our group, he uses this a lot and kind of introduced everybody. Well, you could consider both. So I switched to the log scale, and it's kind of in no man's land right now. So the next leg down, the bottom, would put us at around 5,500, 5,300, somewhere in that zone. Right now it's kind of in the middle of no man's land. But what we're looking for is to break out of this upper trend line. That'd be the obvious goal. But right now we're kind of in no man's land, and it's a little bit risky. But if we're looking at the horizontals, which I trust horizontals more than the trend lines.
Yep.
Whoops. We are in there's a support zone right where we're at here, and we've been holding this quite well around $6,000. So this is the weekly chart. None of these candles have closed below $6,000.
Really? We haven't had a single candle close under 6?
On the weekly.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
They've all closed above $6,000. Good sign.
Crazy.
$6,000
yeah, that's awesome.
Holding. But it's also tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 8 weeks. It's tested $6,000. It's way below here, but all of them closed above.
Sure. Yeah.
So, this is a good area to hold, but as soon as it breaks, and convincingly breaks, closes below, it could get real ugly. We could be headed for the next leg down with a bounce, maybe in the low 5,000 range. So that's what I'm going to be looking at on Bitcoin. I'm still long and strong because I know shorts overextended. This is my main reason, is shorts overextended. This is only showing Bitfinex, so there's other exchanges that you could short on. There's exchanges that you can't short on, but so far Bitfinex has been a very good indicator of what's going to happen in the future. The last time this happened was in April. I remember calling a signal to go long. Same reasoning, and we saw that huge squeeze. This is what happened to shorts. They all got wrecked, and shorts dropped to fresh lows. Now we're doing the same thing. I want to see them shorts get wrecked again. I think it's risky shorting near $6,000 since it's tested and held as such a strong support zone over the last 6-7 months. I think it's risky shorting there. I think the risk reward is in favor of the bulls at this level. So I'm going to go long and see what happens. But there's also some altcoins that have been looking good. I'll discuss some of the ones I've been looking at. Icon is one I was looking at on the weekly chart. Right now this week is red, but it's near a support line. This is actually on our watch list this week, so if you are a member of Crypto Traders Pro watch list, you get access to a video of these 3 to 5 coins every week. We go over them, the charts, the news, what's going on in the markets. I pick my 3 favorite ones, 5 favorite ones, give you an explanation, kind of a video like this. I always talk about Bitcoin, and then I pick 4 other altcoins. Discuss those, what's going on. But I like Icon because it's near support zone on the weekly chart. So this green candle, the very first green candle on Binance, it opened right here and shot up ever since. Well, we've been in a downtrend On the weekly chart, two green days out of the last, let's say, since middle of May. There's only been 2 green weeks. I think it's overdue for a bounce. There's been 0 green weeks since the beginning of July. So it's been red for the past 7 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I like the way this candle closed, this hammer candle. That's a sign of a reversal. Even though it closed red, there was a lower shadow right here, lower wick, indicating, okay, maybe it's time to turn around. I think that could be a good position. Let's see how this week closes, though. Another one I liked was Quantum.
Yep.
Same chart pattern. A lot of the same charts I'm seeing across.
Yeah, a lot of alts.
Now this week is starting off pretty bad, but it's the same type of situation. We see that red hammer candle, 2 out of the last, I don't know, this is since April. So April, there's been 2 green weeks. Needs a bounce. Well, should bounce. It doesn't need a bounce, but it should bounce. Right. If we see it bounce at this level, is a good level. Both these candles opened and closed here respectively, so I figure it might be due for a bounce here. Weekly RSI is at 27. This is the weekly. You don't see the weekly RSI get that low too often.
Yep.
Final one was Tron. That was on our watch list this week as well. Tron is not something I'm in right now, but we saw a similar type of candle. Again, this week has started off pretty rough for some alts. Some have been pretty good, but hammer candle, and we're near a strong support line. But actually our signals, none of these were our signals. We had a couple signals. I won't discuss them, but I will say all 3 are in the green right now. We've had 3 signals over the last week. All 3 are in the green. One as high as 20% up over the last 3 days. So the altcoins we're in are actually doing very well. The altcoins I'm watching are red right now, but the charts are not totally dead. So keep an eye on the charts. Keep an eye on the altcoins. Keep an eye on Bitcoin, actually more than the altcoins, because Bitcoin determines what the altcoins are going to do as of right now.
Yeah, for sure. Again, anybody with questions? Bill asked, what is MSNBC saying about the market right now? So we have a humorous question from Bill, I think. But if anybody else...
See that, I love crypto. This is somebody, a community member. I think he actually has his own community as well, or YouTube channel. Yeah. I love crypto. You guys can look him up. But he made an indicator. I don't know if he made an indicator or just a chart, but it was the CNBC counter indicator. So anytime CNBC fast money, let me look this guy up. I love crypto. He made a counter indicator for CNBC. So anytime CNBC posts right here, indicator saying go long here for Bitcoin, average return on bearish tweets equal 30% plus profit. If the indicator holds up, we should see Bitcoin rally to $8,500 plus. And this shows a chart of every time CNBC Fast Money has tweeted and what the chart does. And it's pretty much the exact opposite every time.
This is great.
And it's hilarious.
Are these daily candles?
Yeah, daily.
Yeah.
So see the very first one. What will hit 25K first? Bitcoin or the Dow? That was the very top. The bottom. And you thought stocks were having a bad day. Bitcoin crashing today. And that's when it wicked at $6,000 in February.
Yeah, before going back up to like what? Almost 11 or 11-ish.
Oh, went up to back to 12K, 12.5K.
Yeah.
Here's another bottom. 4 stages of Bitcoin grief this month. When moon, ain't no moon, abandoned ship. Very bottom, bounced up to 9K.
That's funny.
So, yeah, anytime CNBC tweets or CNBC fast money, these guys are the counter indicator. I'm going to give them a follow. And I think we're gonna build a bot in Discord that alerts us whenever they tweet, because whenever they say something, like they said yesterday, they said somebody was gonna. He thinks there's more room down for Bitcoin, and that was minutes. And I mean this tweet right here: Bitcoin stuck below 6,500, and Anthony Grizz is betting on more pain to come. This was at 1:45 p.m. on August 21st.
Oh, jeez.
So I'll go to the minute chart.
Uh,
August 21st, yesterday at 1:45 p.m. This was probably right before. It was just before this huge run.
it's pretty funny.
So yeah, somewhere actually, and this is the minute chart, so they're just going to show a bunch of candles, but somewhere in this right here is when he tweeted, more pain to come on Bitcoin. Bitcoin stuck below 6,500, and then we saw that
funny.
huge run up.
They're literally picking the wicks for us.
Yeah, so whenever they get bearish, it's time to buy Bitcoin. Whenever they get bullish, it's time to sell Bitcoin. That's been
crazy.
Pretty much the tale of CNBC. I always give them grief on Facebook because BK, Brian Kelly, which it blows my mind. I don't know how these people work for CNBC or what their qualifications are, but he was teaching people how to buy Ripple above $3 in January, and it's ridiculous. So they tell you how to buy the top and tell you how to sell the bottom.
Yep, it's a problem.
So keep an eye on CNBC Fast Money. Good counter indicator right there. Other than that, we are working on actually in the Crypto Traders Pro group, we're working on a bot right now, a trading bot. Some of our own indicators, I guess Crypto Traders Pro indicators, tells us when to go long or when to go short based on a couple of different indicators and factors. So we're working on making some custom features for the Pro group. We got some exciting news coming out later this month. We have a VIP-only meetup happening in about 2-3 weeks. There's the Chicago conference by Untraceable Events in October we're going to try and speak at. So there's a lot of good stuff happening in the coming months. We have that ETF decision coming at the end of next month. The Solid X VanEck ETF. That's the one we think has the best chance of getting approved. So, lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Bitcoin's going to make any moves this year, like this is the season, into Q3 and into Q4 is literally always when it comes back, if it comes back. So we're kind of at that moment where it's probably wise to be long. It's not a promise.
Slowly accumulating.
Right.
A lot of people are asking, they want to know exactly when the bottom, when the top, buy, sell. We don't know. So if you're still new to cryptocurrency and you're still working full-time or you have streams of income and you want to put more money into the markets, do it over time. If you have $10,000, I say put $1,000 in maybe every 2 weeks or every month. It's not a rush. It's not going anywhere. We don't know when the bottom's going to be. It might be a bear market till halfway through 2019. It might be a bear market till 2020. We don't know. But we're going to stick around here as long as it doesn't go away. I don't think it's going away.
Please, God, don't go away.
So, we're going to do a video probably sometime this week. We're going to give you our thoughts on the conference, what they talked about, some of the things that we like, some of the things we didn't like, why we think you should attend conferences as network events, kind of our experience. We were VIPs at the conference. We had access to everything. There was a lot of different people there, a lot of big money floating around. We'll do a video later this week. You guys can check that out. It'll show clips of us speaking and just kind of the atmosphere of the conference and how it all worked out. So look forward to that. Anything else, Kurt?
We got a couple of people. There's Chris, again, asking, is it time to start dollar cost averaging? I would quickly say yes. Bill Hofford is asking, Ethereum Classic didn't really pump after getting added to Coinbase. Do you think the Coinbase pumps are done? What do you think on that, Matt?
I don't think so. I think Ethereum Classic is kind of just... I mean, what is Ethereum Classic actually bringing... I've seen this question asked a bunch. Name 5 projects being built on Ethereum Classic. I can't even name 2. I know Callisto because we covered that one. It was an airdrop. But what is Ethereum Classic really doing? Why did it get added to Coinbase? I I don't think Coinbase pumps are done. I think market conditions overall trump a lot of the fundamental news.
Right.
What
Well,
do you
and
think?
I agree. I think Ethereum Classic. I think partially the timing was really bad. I mean, markets when Ethereum Classic got in, what was it, middle of last week? And I think it was just like the absolute, like people were super upset. We had another big leg down, and then Ethereum Classic. And to be fair, I think there was a little blip of a pump or something.
There
But
was, because I traded it and profited
yeah,
off of it. It went
right.
from like $13 all the way up to 25 in May. And
Yeah.
then when that Coinbase pump happened, it went from $12, $13 up to 21. So there was a pump.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
wasn't
It just wasn't
$50 like
right.
people hoped.
Well, or like ETH went from, when did it get added? It went from something like, I don't even remember, $10 or something.
Oh yeah, it was, because that was beginning of the 2017.
Yeah.
I got it at $30 and it was added
Yeah.
for like a couple weeks.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think market conditions, but I think the other thing is that like Ethereum Classic, I think a lot of people aren't sure what the value of Ethereum Classic is. So I think they're not sure where Ethereum Classic should be priced in. When we look at some of these things, market conditions and everything else, like you can look at Bitcoin and say, maybe the ETF decision was already priced into the price. And that's why we haven't had that, the drop that people expected, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Ethereum Classic, I think a lot of people aren't really sure what to do with it. Like what is supposed to happen with Ethereum Classic
of it?
right. And it's kind of redundant. It's a good project in the sense that Ethereum is a good project, but what is it going to do that ETH can't do, especially in the short and midterm? So it's kind of like you said, what's the point? So therefore, it's just kind of okay, well, there's another coin on Coinbase. And
I'm excited for the other additions. I know ZRX and BAT both have a strong utility, and I think getting added to Coinbase is more than getting added to a new exchange. It becomes more of a partnership, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe Coinbase is going to start promoting, not necessarily like ads or whatnot, but they're going to be putting their name on these tokens, and that's going to that's going to show some more legitimacy to them. With BAT and ZRX. Those are two off the top of my head that they have a utility there, a decentralized exchange protocol and advertising.
Yep, absolutely.
Both huge industries, and I think Coinbase getting behind those is only going to help those projects grow, prove their legitimacy, and I don't see it as being a negative. Even if the price, I want it to pump, I want it to go 10x, but that's long term. Short term, that is a great sign to get added to Coinbase. We know Coinbase is very picky. They could have added coins like Binance does. They could have added hundreds of coins, but they've been very picky and choosy, trying to do things right, taking their time, analyzing everything, weighing the pros and cons. So Coinbase is doing it right from a business perspective, I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree. Got another question here from Zero Explorers. I'm wondering if that's Sean from the Pro Group. Asking, what project are you guys most bullish on for the next year or two, and why? Matt, I'll let you start if you have one.
Specifically, well, I don't know, man. I like BAT a lot.
Yeah.
Because I did have a brief conversation with Luke Malks, the guy we interviewed on Twitter. Kurt interviewed. I talked to him on Twitter, though, and we were briefly talking about Netflix. Netflix is adding advertisements, and it's not going to be a traditional ad. It's going to be like if you're watching a show, in between episodes, it might preview another show. So they're trying to keep users' attention on their platform. Well, people might be more inclined to watch these ads or to watch more Netflix if they're being rewarded for doing so. And that's where basic attention token comes in. what I really liked about that conversation, or the project specifically, is they're looking to expand off of the Brave browser. So BAT is going to be, it's already its own thing, but right now it's only in the Brave browser.
Right.
And they talked about this in the interview with Kurt, was they're looking to branch into streaming devices, TV, and whatnot. So it really shows that the project is growing in the right direction. They're not just limiting themselves to a browser. They're moving on to bigger things as well.
Yep, very cool. For me, I know a lot of people will not be shocked. My main pick is Bitcoin Cash. I think if you look at the roadmap of Bitcoin Cash, like nobody can scale. Actually, any coin could scale. Bitcoin Cash is the only coin that has developers and miners working together to push the limits of scale. By November, we're going to be looking at between 2,000 and 3,000 transactions per second on chain. No problem. That compares to BTC at 7 transactions per second. So we're pulling away. And then just in the last 2 weeks, we've added the new what do they call it? Like basically the smart contract layer, which they're calling Wormhole. And then Kryptonize has launched using Wormhole, they've launched a colored coins application. So you can completely make tokens that launch and are secured by the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. There are social media networks. You got memo.cash and yours.org that function immutable on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain, allows people to do all kinds of cool things there. So there's so much development, and I've been saying this since the split. Like, hey, there's a lot of development teams involved in Bitcoin Cash. Like, watch for there to be lots of development. And 2018's been crazy. No coin has had as much development inside of a year ever as Bitcoin Cash. So they've literally gone from a coin that essentially didn't exist and have added, NFC technology, light wallets that absolutely kick ass. There's 6 full node implementations if you have a reason to run a full node. But like I said, who's got multiple social networks, multiple uses, smart contracts? If you want to launch a smart contract, you literally don't need to be a programmer. It takes like 5 minutes. You can just do if and then kind of simple smart contract programming. So literally, Bitcoin Cash is going to enable anybody to compete with Ethereum if you know anything about programming. And it's distributed, SHA-256. It's mined all over the world. It's my coin, people. So I really don't see a way that people can compete with it in a business atmosphere, frankly. And then the other one, Bill Hoffer just mentioned it. It's kind of a dark horse pick, but Enigma. Everybody knows I'm a privacy maven. I got into cryptocurrency specifically because I'm an anarchist. And I've been hot on Monero. I love privacy coins, but Monero has a usability issue. Monero is difficult to use, and that's problematic. And they seem to not be working hard on usability, which that's the call of the developers, the miners, and the community. And I disagree with it there. So I haven't soured on Monero, but I think Monero specifically wants to be the cache of the dark web and be a little bit difficult to use in order to do that, and that's fine. But Enigma is adding basically privacy as a protocol feature. So all kinds of business applications. So anybody that wants to use Ethereum or whatever else that you want to run smart contracts on, you can integrate Enigma applications into your smart contracts at a protocol level, making them anonymous using the protocol, not using some kind of a mixer or some kind of a third party, no coin join, none of that kind of stuff. But you can actually use Enigma to create protocol level security. In fact, I believe they said even network level security. So you could have your physical firewalls, that kind of stuff, all programmed with Enigma software, everything blockchain secured. I think there's a lot of really, really important stuff happening in Enigma, and nobody's talking about it. So I think it's severely undervalued. It's developed out of like the high-tech region in Israel, which if anybody knows anything about Israel's high-tech, that is where all of the research for Intel and HP and lots of ASIC mining chips, that comes out of Israel, which a lot of people are not aware of. Enigma's developers are all MIT graduates working in Israel's tech research sector. They're literally the best computer scientists in the world. So they're one that I would really, really seriously keep an eye on. It has not been an excellent trade, really, in almost all of 2018. But
it was for a bit. There was it was a signal in March or April. It has had a good bounce, but right now it looks like every other chart.
Right.
And every chart is pretty much, I don't know, 8 of the 10 last weeks are red.
Yep.
But Enigma, I don't think this is just Enigma, but I think a lot of these coins, tokens, projects, whatever, they've been a little bit quiet while the price and market conditions are like this, because what is the point of them for announcing all this positive news when the market conditions are just so crappy? So I'd rather them keep their head down, stay focused and working, focus less on the price and just focus on building, and we'll see it catch up eventually when the market turns around. But right now I think we're kind of searching for that bottom across the board. When's that bottom going to happen? It might consolidate there for a few weeks. That's what I ideally would like to see to confirm that bottom is in. Then we could start loading up and ride these things to the moon. But yeah, Enigma, solid pick. Bitcoin Cash, solid pick. Again, that's going to be a great play in the next year, 2 years. I don't think you can go wrong buying now. Bill
absolutely.
Said Neblio, and I will say, here's my Neblio box, Bill. I'm staking Neblio since May. I've probably earned little over 100 coins since then. This thing runs the Raspberry Pi. Bought this with Bitcoin Cash. It's pretty easy to run. It's a computer that doesn't shut off. So I run that all the time, staking Neblio. Even though Neblio pisses me off and I don't like them anymore, I'm going to keep staking because I'm hoping they turn around. But here's the thing with Neblio. I contacted them for an interview on Coincast. They said they would come on the show, and they never got back with me after that. We actually took the time to get interview questions ready for them, and they never responded after that. So I said, okay, that's fine. They don't want to do the interview, but that's kind of a red flag. Like, why doesn't a small cap or smaller coin project not want to get that free publicity when a lot of other YouTube channels charge money for the same thing? Whereas us, we do it for free because we actually want to learn more about these projects. We aren't there to charge projects to, help that community grow, especially ones that we like. Then I actually wrote a post on Reddit saying, okay, this is kind of a red flag to me. Why don't these developers of the small coin want to do this? They responded. They said they would do the interview again, said we would never turn down an interview. Let's set up a date. So again, they flaked on us. So 2 times they flaked. Apparently the developers, I've never seen them in an interview on camera. So that's a red flag to me. But I do see some development going on. We see some partnerships coming out there.
They are marketing. If you look into it, like they've been investing in some sort of mainstream, like commercial style marketing stuff. And then also it's interesting. I know a couple of higher level, kind of your typical world investor types. So people that put a little bit of money or into a hedge fund or something. And I've had a couple people from outside of the crypto space ask me if I know what Neblio is, because it's come up in. I need to ask them what the letter was, but it was an investment letter, and the letter said something to the effect of, "Hey, if you're looking at a blockchain, or if you want to get some money into the blockchain space, don't look at Bitcoin or Ethereum. Like, take a look at this dark horse, basically called Neblio." So what they liked was some of the connections of the team were Wall Streety. Then who they're looking to work with is very specifically like big business focus. They're
enterprise blockchain solutions is their target market. But yeah, they just signed a marketing company maybe last week. So
okay, so that kind of thing. Like they're trying to be like they're trying very much not to be the the cypherpunk anarchy token thing. Like they want to be wearing suits to work every day. They want to have 9 to 5 Wall Street dinners and shrimp cocktail at lunch every day with their friends in Manhattan. So that's who they want to be, and apparently they're doing a decent job at it because they've got enough money to keep pushing forward, and a lot of people are kind of broke right now in the crypto space. So it's iffy. I understand Matt's concerns about it. I was pretty miffed because I had to write down all the questions and do a lot of research into Neblio to be able to give an intelligent interview, and then they did never come on. So, it's one of those things, like maybe it's a growing pains thing. Hopefully it's just a growing pains thing, but maybe Neblio will be, one of those coins that goes up, 500 times over the next 2 years.
And it can, because it has before.
Right.
When it got listed on Binance before, and this was in January, beginning of the year, it went 800% in 4 days, 3 days. So it's totally possible when the market turns around, and but we'll see what happens. I'm staking it. At one point, Neblio was like $75. Now it's like $2. So I'm just gonna keep staking it and see what happens. Rolling the dice there. Yeah. Kind of a long-term play. If it doesn't work out, whatever.
Right, is what it is. We got another question, the Enforcer, asking, when Ethereum switches to Casper, hopefully Ethereum Classic could stay proof of work and still be GPU mined. That is actually the entire value proposition of Ethereum Classic at this point, is that if you don't like proof of stake, and many people don't, I'm one of those people who is not a big fan of proof of stake for a major long-term coin, Ethereum Classic would be the option if you're an Ethereum believer, which I'm also not, so I'm kind of bearish generally on Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. I'm sorry, but it's just I think it's too complicated. Too complicated. Vitalik is brilliant. In fact, I think he's too brilliant, and he created something of a Rube Goldberg machine that is inefficient to launch tokens and the things that Ethereum's supposed to be great at. It's only pretty good at, and I don't know that it can necessarily ever be better than pretty good, frankly. But I could be wrong, but I think the proof of stake thing, Casper, sharding with a D in there, not sharting, as everybody likes to chuckle as I say it, but some of the other stuff that's going on in the background of Ethereum, maybe it'll work, but a lot of it is a little bit untested mumbo jumbo, which from like a tech and security standpoint, you want simple. If a simple solution solves your problem, go with the simple solution. And then Bill asking, is BCH adding tokens? That's what I mean about a simple solution. You can create a token on Bitcoin Cash in 5 minutes. It exists now, and for the last 2 weeks. If you want to look into it, look at Kryptonize. You can do Google Kryptonize and colored coins, or you can search Wormhole Cash. Both are options available to launch tokens secured on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. One of the first coins that launched was actually the Lightning Network token. So to be a little funny, Lightning Network actually functions as a token on the Bitcoin Cash chain.
Oh, and this goes back to barriers of mass adoption. I think the politics are really holding us back. The whole Bitcoin Cash, and even going into other coins, all the politics and bashing each other, and just holding us up in the long run. Whereas I think if everybody was on the same page moving forward, we would be able to accomplish so much more. But right now the community's kind of split with how we should do things, between not just between Lightning Network and an on-chain solution, but proof of stake, proof of work, DPoS, whatever else there is out there. I think that entirely hinders the evolution of cryptocurrency.
Well, everybody wants their bags to win. It's like everybody's treating it like they're putting money on racehorses, like in the lead, Bitcoin Cash by a nose. It's like, come on, guys. Like, we're all in this together. The goal is to get mass adoption for good projects. Like, you should not be investing in shit coins, but if you're grabbing the good coins that have good teams, and here's a good indicator right now, actually. If you want to look and see what coins are probably going to be worth a good bit in the future, look for teams that are really actively developing during the bear market, because right now it's really hard to pay developers. Okay, so if you're a development fund or a development foundation, you are very, very poor right now because the markets are beat up. So if you are spending that money on paying developers to improve your coin, that means that the funders and the developers believe in the long-term strength of the coin. So where are we seeing development? Well, first of all, where are we not seeing development? Well, we're not seeing development in a whole bunch of shit coins that have disappeared, but we are seeing development in some of these token platforms. Like Polymath gave a huge announcement. Like, they're working hard. They're creating business relationships. They're working on their blockchain, and they're doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. But we're seeing the same stuff out of, Dash. Dash has onboarded like 1,000 merchants in Venezuela over the last 6 months.
I wanted to talk about them too, because they're actually doing what we're talking about. Yeah, it's only in Venezuela and some other Latin American countries that
Argentina, I believe, yeah.
Colombia as well, that borders Venezuela. But that is what we need. We need that merchant adoption. And Joel from Dash is in our group, and he said the number of merchants that are now accepting Dash in Venezuela have doubled in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what about Turkey? Turkey's now starting to go through early stages of what Venezuela has already gone through. Yep. And I think these countries now going one by one where their fiat is just turning to dust, those are great target markets for cryptocurrency to start spreading, because that's all they got there. If your government money is worth nothing, well, you need to seek alternatives. And they're not going to turn to the euro or the British pound, because that's not their government-issued money.
Yeah, it's not an option for them.
They'll find a new solution. What are the merchants accepting? Well, the merchants are accepting, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Dash, whatever it is. They're going to start using that money. So they'll figure out a way to get it, and they'll start using cryptocurrency in their economy. And I think Turkey is a great place right now to start looking towards. And I've heard people say Italy is going to be next, or Italy's they're teetering right now, about to fall off the cliff.
Yep, absolutely. Kudos to Dash. It's funny, Dash is a FUD coin. People like to criticize the founding of Dash, and I think some of those criticisms are actually valid. But there's a lot of coins that were started poorly and have disappeared because they were scams. But Dash has 100 paid active developers, and they're all over the world spreading Dash and setting up all kinds of Dash-related businesses and things that are related to the Dash DAO. Like, they're one of the most active teams. They may be the most active team in the entire cryptocurrency space. So I think it's pretty obvious they are not exit scamming, even though I think the coin may have actually started as hey, let's see if we can make a coin. And, I really think it almost started by accident as a test by the original developer. The founder is a guy named Evan Duffield, who's a computer nerd, like most guys who start coins. Basically started mining it in his own home and mined a bunch of coins, and everybody's like, he's got a pre-mine and has a bunch of coins. And, whatever. Like, yes, he could have pumped the coins, sold out, and Dash could have ran away. That's not what they did. They are very actively developing, even through this major downtrend, which tells me, obviously, they've got skin in the game for a reason, other than just the price. In fact, I never hear them talk about the price. I just hear them talking about, all the different things Dash can do. So that's a really good sign for me. There are other teams that do the same thing. It's part of the reason I'm a Bitcoin Cash fan, but there's also a lot of that going on over at Digibyte, which I think is sort of a long shot coin, but it's a very cool project. But they're the same way. Really active development. Their GitHub is always on fire. They're always adding new things. And they're doing the same kind of stuff. They're using their foundation, which is not a DAO. It's very different than Dash's governance setup, but they're also trying to help out in Venezuela and looking for other places to expand too. So, and then obviously there's a lot going on. Like, Bitcoin Core is also working on things for Bitcoin. The Ethereum people are working on things for Ethereum. I just actually think both of them are both playing with Rube Goldberg machines, frankly.
I think Ethereum right now, with all the ICOs that have launched, any ICO that launched since 2018 started has lost so much money because they raised all their funds in Ethereum, and they were forced to then sell their Ethereum to keep funding the project, and that's what caused Ethereum to just get slaughtered. And Ethereum also, it was anticipated after you go up so much from $1 to.
They had a huge run.
They went up so much, like 25,000% in. No, it's not that high, but it's high.
Could be. What did they peak at? What was their peak? $1,600 or something?
$1,400, and it started 2017 near $1. So yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
About $7-8. $7-8 early 2017. So yeah, big run by them. But Dash, same thing. Dash had a huge run. It was over $1,500.
Right.
Now actually, I don't think you can go wrong getting Dash around $100, under 150, somewhere in that range. Especially working for that masternode if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah.
Now it's only 137,000 before it was 1.5 mil.
God, it's crazy. Well, and then the cool thing about that is if you get a masternode, in fact, anybody, you only have to have a little bit of Dash to make a proposal. So if you wanted to propose, hey, here's something that I think Dash could do, or let's do it as a community, it can be funded right out of the block reward. And then if you're a masternode holder, you get a vote on those things. So you can, if you feel like, if you got 137 grand and you want to earn staking rewards as well as vote in the Dash DAO, running a masternode is super easy. You can run it in the cloud or you can run it on a Raspberry Pi, and you can have a say in what Dash does. And Dash does everything from sponsor festivals. They sponsor MMA fighters. They sponsor independent news media. Ben Swan is a very popular news media, like a libertarian news media personality. But there's a Dash fighter jet and stuff. So Dash is very excited to spend their money when it benefits Dash. So if you want to be involved in a community that is really passionate, it's definitely the Dash community over there.
And you could see in our Crypto Traders Pro chat room that we have a Dash bot that we could send and receive Dash, tip Dash. I just dropped a lottery. I distributed 5 M Dash to 5 random people in the chat room. So everybody gets Dash in the Crypto Traders Pro group.
We tip each other in Dash. It's a good time.
Our community has about $500 in Dash that gets circulated around, and more coming in all the time because we just. Right. If somebody drops, let's say, a chart and that really helps you out, you say profit from it, or you could tip them using Dash right in our chat room. Cool feature, but yeah, we like Dash.
Yep, for sure.
So any other questions? We got to wrap it up. It's been about almost 2 hours now.
Yep, we got actually a handful of follow-up stuff. Chris is saying, watch Dash is fun, dropping non-core projects. Can it be a DAO if it's incorporated? That's over my head, frankly. Ben Swan's proposal didn't get renewed with DAO. That's surprising, actually. But he moved to Smart Cash. They're dropping all their media sponsorships due to funding concerns. The bear market has been very rough. I know it's been hard for people to get funded. They typically, over the past couple of years, have funded freedom festivals and stuff. During this bear market, they are pulling back the reins a little bit to make sure that the core development team is paid. They've been trying to get out their Evolution wallet and stuff. I should be crystal clear. I actually own only about maybe $30 or $40 worth of Dash in the whole world, so I'm not a Dash guy. I've just come to appreciate some things about their model, and I actually really like the people. So Joel has become a personal friend of all of us too. So, but yeah, the DAO, there's regulatory concerns and stuff there. A lot of it is kind of iffy, but they're very innovative. They're working toward doing interesting things. So, but thanks for all the comments, Chris. Chris Karabats there. I've never heard your name before. If you're not in the Facebook group, please join us. We had questions from Sean and Bill, whoever the enforcer is, and a handful of other people. So we appreciate it. Thanks for tuning into our live webinar. As soon as we go offline, please, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe to our channel. You can subscribe now, but you can share it. Share it to your friends. Let everybody know. You can find us on Twitter. Matt's got his own Twitter. I have my own Twitter. We also have a team, the Crypto Traders Twitter. We're also on Medium, Instagram, all over social media. We would really like if you'd look us up, follow us, join the conversation. We're here literally to talk about fundamentals, trading, business, mass adoption. That's what Crypto Traders Pro is all about. So if those things interest you, jump in. Almost everything we do is free, unless you want to pay us to teach you how to trade in more of a family environment. We run a course that's basically like a college telecourse, mostly in Discord. You can watch the video. We got 20 hours of video, and then as you get through the course, you can ask us questions. We're live every day. Me and Matt, we're active in Discord every single day, helping people learn to chart. You can find that at cryptotraderspro.com, which you're looking at on the screen here. And Matt, have I missed anything?
I was just going to show people the site quick.
Sure.
Bring it up here. So if you're on our site, if you're not a member of the signals or you're not a member of anything on the website, this is what our back end looks like. The signals and analysis page. Every single chart I post, we post usually. I try to post every single day. Sometimes I'll post several in a day. It really depends. Been talking a lot about Bitcoin and some of the other charts. You got all the signals over here. We have our course that I encourage everybody to watch. Everybody that signs up for our pro membership, I kind of force them to watch the course if they're new, because this will answer almost all of your questions that you have. Developing your own trading strategy, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, how to determine if a trade is going to be a good risk reward, a pre-trade checklist, everything you should do before making a trade and developing your own strategy, as well as about 4 hours, almost 5 hours of live trades where I show making over $100,000 in a month of trading. That was a very good month. Very fun to record that all live with commentary. We have our video library. Kurt and I do calls like this all the time. We try and do them at least once a week with the pro group. Very similar to this right now, except it's more interactive. We're talking together with the group and doing video, going over charts and stuff. We have the portfolio page, which shows all our active signals. We have 3 buys right now. I won't let you see those, but it shows all the stats about this, and it follows our trades. And also the watch list, finally. Every single week we cover 3 to 5 coins, and it's in a video form. And it's deciding not to load. There it goes. So yep, August watch list. It goes live every single Monday. It's about 10 to 20 minutes long. Go over 3 to 5 coins, and every single month you could watch if you wanted. So that's gonna wrap it up for this webinar, guys. It has been a good 2 hours. I really liked the presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation, covering some real world topics that a lot of people don't like to talk about. And I think that's a shame. We should be covering these topics and talking about this, because how else are we going to be moving forward other than just launching stupid ICOs and stupid projects that are irrelevant in the big scheme of things? So we need to be focusing on cryptocurrency as money, focusing on merchant adoption, getting other people involved, educating the non-believers or educating the ignorant or people that have no idea what this is, and really simplifying it. I think if we simplify cryptocurrency for the average person to get involved, it'll be much easier for adoption overall.
Amen to that.
So it was a great webinar, guys. I'll see you guys in the chat room and in the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, join our Facebook group at Crypto Traders on Facebook. 50,000 members strong and growing slowly through the bear market. We are still growing. In December, we grew 20,000 people. In July, we grew 500 people. So there's some perspective. When we see 20,000 people joining the Facebook group at once, we are near the top.
Right, sell.
When we have 200 to 500 joining per month, that is a good opportunity to buy because nobody's paying attention. Just like right now, people are really sleeping on the markets. I think a lot of people kind of fizzled out and they're fading away, going back to their day jobs and not paying attention. But right now is the opportunity to pay attention to the markets and what's going on because you will miss the bottom otherwise. So
for sure,
that wraps it up for this webinar, guys. We will see you on the moon.
Bye, everybody.